Good evening, everyone. I'm Brian Schreiner, Dean of the FIU College of Communication, Architecture, and the Arts. I'm pleased to welcome you this Wednesday evening to the opening reception of this virtual exhibition of Planets Portrait by our good friend Robert Zuckerman, presented by the FIU College of Communication, Architecture, and the Arts Miami Beach Urban Studios with support from the City of Miami Beach Office of Cultural Affairs. So I have the good fortune of introducing Robert to those of you who may not know Robert, but I've known Robert for some time, and when I think of Robert, I think of a wise person once said that there's only two great days in a person's life: the day we are born and the day we discover why. And the first day I met Robert, I knew that he knew why he was born. He is one of the most kind, compassionate, inspiring, creative, energizing, uplifting human beings I have had the good fortune of knowing in my life. And I'm fortunate and blessed to call him friend and colleague, as he's a distinguished fellow in the College of Communication, Architecture, and the Arts. Let me tell you a little bit about Robert's background. Robert has a former career as a Hollywood photographer, one of the most prolific and famous Hollywood photographers, where he photographed Hollywood elites such as Will Smith, Helen Mirren, Robert Al Pacino, Maya Angelou, Denzel Washington, Kate Winslet. I'm reading this list looking to see if my name's on here, Robert. I don't see my name. Arnold Schwarzenegger, David Bowie, etc. Although he did take a picture of me once, but I didn't make this bio list. He worked on promo and publicity campaigns for blockbuster films such as Training Day, Any Given Sunday, Terminator 3, and there's many others. He retired from Hollywood in 2013, unfortunately, due to an illness. And then, according to Robert, he had a higher calling, and he pursued his passion for education and empowerment of making the world a better place. In 2014, as I said, I had the good fortune of meeting Robert. He became a Carta Faculty Fellow. Since then, he's worked on a multitude of exhibitions and projects within Carta. Too many to list, but I'll list a few because a lot of them were in cooperation and collaboration with John Stewart, our director of the Miami Beach Urban Studios. Some of those include Wanderism Exhibition, which is a body of work seeing the extraordinary in the ordinary. Hindsight Exhibition, which is the antithesis of terrorism after the 9/11 attack. Open Mic Night at MBUS, which I had the good fortune of bumping in a few times and then laughing all evening. The World Symposium, in which he did 5 events, which were similar to mini TED Talks, where students and community members were brought together to brainstorm and discuss how to make the world a better place. So again, I'm very pleased and honored to know Robert. I thank him for his confidence and support of FIU and the work that we do with our students. And I want to introduce Raymond now, who's going to cue up a video for us. I want you to see this video, and then on the other side of the video, Miss Colette Mello, who is the curator of this exhibition, will talk to you a little bit more. So again, thank you for the opportunity to be with you this evening. Robert, congratulations, and thank you for all that you do. Raymond?
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Robert, for that. Give me 1 minute. I'm having an internet connection problem. Give me 1 second. Good evening, everyone. My name is Colette Mello. I'm the curator of Planet Portraits by Robert Zuckerman. It's my pleasure to have you here this evening to celebrate the opening of Robert's newest work. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my team who are instrumental in bringing the exhibition together, my assistant Raymond Reyna, who is a graduate student enrolled in the FIU College of Architecture, created the video of Robert's photographs, and Louis Alicant composed the original music to the video, which is entitled Unified. Louis is enrolled in the FIU School of Music, pursuing a Bachelor in Music Composition, and is graduating in fall 2021. I'd like to thank the City of Miami Beach, Office of Art and Culture for their generosity and support for these type of programs. I'd also like to thank the following 4 guests for joining us this evening: Adrian Muller, Mitch Kingsbury, Dr. Eva Ritvo, and Barry Kibrick. They're big supporters of Roberts, and you may have noticed them in the video, and they're going to share a little bit of their experience with you in a few minutes. But first, I want to go ahead and talk to Robert and ask Robert, please share with us your inspiration for this project and why it was so important to you.
Well, hi everybody. I want to also thank all the people that Colette thanked and everyone who supported this project. Excuse me. You know, sometimes how you're just walking along or ambling along and ideas pop into your head. And I thought about this, and, you know, because as you said, I had a career in photography. I'm still passionate about it, even though I don't go on movie sets like I used to, but I've wanted to, you know, when I got into photography, part of me always wanted to somehow use it to help people out or to make the world a better place. So, you know, I'm kind of a novice at technical stuff, but I like it. I enjoy connecting, and I thought you know, the idea popped into my head about potentially with this pandemic and everyone was in quarantine, of being able to connect with people around the planet in different ways in this way. And so I tried it once with somebody, I think it was a friend of mine in London, and we had a conversation. And during the conversation, we went to FaceTime, and when we were on FaceTime, I guided her to stand in a good place and a good light, and I snapped off some screenshots, and then I did it again with another friend who lives up in Brooklyn, New York, and we're down here in Miami. And so you do something a couple of times, or, you know, and it works, then it becomes a series, it becomes like a body of work. And that's the same way that I started with my other project, Hindsight, back in 2002. I wanted to do something that sort of answered or responded to the veil of terrorism that threat was over the world. You know, after 9/11, everyone, you know, kind of thought if someone looked at them the wrong way, you know, you had to be suspect. And I realized back then that the antidote or the antithesis to terrorism was in the richness of everyday life. So that's how that Hindsight started. And the same way that happened, that's how Planet Portraits started. Just, you know, you do 1, 2, and then it becomes something. So that's how that worked.
So
and
Rob, I'm sorry, continue.
Okay. No, I'm just going to finish up by saying, even though right now, you know, we're having this exhibit, it's going to be it's going to be ongoing. You know, hopefully this pandemic doesn't last too much longer, but, you know, it's still a way of just connecting. And it seemed like this technology that we have of FaceTime and video connecting. It came along just at the right time, or as a response to what was going on with the pandemic, so that we could keep in touch with each other in this way.
Right. And I just wanted to say, I know that you were on one of our earliest talks that we had right after shutdown happened. I think it was in March or early April. And you had just mentioned to us that you had started this idea, that you had just started that, and so it continued on. And then me and you had the conversation about making this video.
Yeah.
In September, I believe, or end of August. Yeah. And so, and that's when we finished it. And I believe right now, how many do you think you have portraits that you've completed?
Around, probably around or a little over 100.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's a lot. Yeah. And it's from all over the world. You have people from Europe, Spain, Germany, United States.
Yes. I say like 6 continents, if you consider Australia an individual continent, which some people do. So I have Australia, New Zealand, Bali, which is near in part of Indonesia, South Africa, Rome, several people in London or in the outlying areas of London, South America, Panama, and a bunch of points around the U.S., West Coast, East Coast, and Chicago. So anyway.
Well, first of all, I want to invite any of our guests here this evening. If you have any comments or questions, please put them in the chat box below, and we will get to them throughout the evening. But one thing I wanted to say, when I first saw your work, I love all of your work. And by the way, for some of you who don't know me, I worked with Robert when I was a graduate student here at FIU, and Robert Zuckerman was a Dean's Distinguished Fellow. So that's how our relationship started. And I remember helping you. You would have exhibitions in LA and New York, and you were working on framing and shipping artwork. So I would be that person that would help you organize that. And I feel and I helped you when you did the Art
Mazel.
We did Art Mazel. Well, you did a lot of that, but I was there on the sidelines. And then also when we had the spoken word, the open mic night, we had that here. So I was here. So we have a long relationship of collaborating together. So this has been extremely wonderful for me to be able to work with you in this manner, and to see this body of work come together. To me, the first time I saw it was just so moving to see all these people together, and we're all experiencing the same thing through all over the world, and you were just able to capture those moments of hope and fortitude and all of us going through these same emotions together. It was just, I found extremely moving.
Yeah, that's good. Oh, were you going to, at some point, I know we had talked about you reading that statement from Rebecca Pidgeon?
Yes, I would love to read this statement. So I have a statement from Rebecca Pidgeon on behalf of herself and her husband, David Mamet. It said, Robert Zuckerman's Planet Portraits is a memorizing piece of work. The portraits are strangely penetrating since he took them while chatting to people via FaceTime on their phones. Nonetheless, he seems to show their souls. It's a moving piece showing folks from all over the world in their quarantine, but the love they all feel for Robert shines through, and watching it, one feels strangely healed by these images of humanity at its best. That is a loving state. It is the love for Robert that we see, but we feel a common thread coming through the pictures right into our own hearts. My husband, Dave, and I were honored to be part of the project, and we are honored to be part of Robert's life.
Oh my gosh. I'm hiring them for my publicity.
Well, you are loved. You definitely feel
Well,
the love for sure. Everyone here, yes. It's wonderful
it's
that they
interesting.
said that.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, I was going to read another comment that I have here from Valerie Garancine. I hope I didn't.
Valeria.
Oh, Valeria, yes. Thank you, Robert, from the Jewish History Forum and Museum in Volkmarsen, Germany, to invite us to participate with the museum team. We have the poster up here. That's wonderful.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And yes. So I want to go ahead and invite, you had invited a couple of some of your longtime admirers of your work to participate in this planet portrait project. And I wanted to go ahead and invite a couple of them to go ahead and speak. And we have Adrian Muller here. And I think, Raymond, you have an image from that you were going to show quickly. You could see the image from the actual film. There's Adrian there. And then we can, Adrian, if you'd like to unmute yourself, you could go ahead and.
Sure. First of all, I would like to thank Dean Schreiner, Colette, and FIU for supporting this program and the extraordinary work of Robert Zuckerman. I am fortunate enough to be his friend, and the more our friendship grows, certainly it doesn't diminish the admiration that I have for him and the contribution that he makes to the world through his eyes, through his photography, and through his art. I actually met you at the FIU event at 420 Lincoln Road, and I was actually under a misapprehension. I thought 420 Lincoln Road was an activity, not an address. But I nonetheless made it to some of the spoken words events and participated, did some stand-up, and got to find out a lot about what the FIU does in the community. I first met Robert through the Bold Beauty Project, which was an extraordinary endeavor in line with his previous activities with Kindsight, highlighting the inner beauty of women with challenges and disabilities. And I was extraordinarily moved by that experience and realized then that beauty is really an ethereal thing. It's not something that lives on the surface. It's not something that is always visible to the naked eye. It's something that lives in the heart, and somebody with the heart of a Robert Zuckerman can find that beauty and make it visible to others who perhaps don't have the same sensitivity. The evolution from that and his other endeavors to this is surprisingly natural, because in a sense, we are all experiencing the type of isolation, the type of difficulty, the types of challenges and emotions that people have, that Robert has featured throughout his years, showing empathy for people in various situations with various challenges. And now we all have challenges. We all must find ways to look beyond the surface of what is going on today. When I did the photo shoot with Robert, I learned a lot. He said, just be yourself, be in a natural setting. So I decided to go into my lovely garden with beautiful palm trees and gardenias. And I thought that what I would convey, or at least my intent, was to convey a certain serenity, a certain acceptance, a way of adjusting to a difficult situation graciously. And the photograph that came out really revealed a different reality than what I tried to portray. And this is the greatness of Robert, because the truth is, the image, if you saw it earlier, really expresses more the difficulty, the loneliness, and the isolation, even while I'm trying to come across with a superficial smile and a positive attitude. It's hard to imagine that somebody could capture that in a moment, in the flash of an eye with a camera. But that's exactly what Robert did. And I'm very thankful for the opportunity to see myself along with these other people as a community across the world. We often look at our differences, but in times of adversity, we become mindful of our similarities, of our connectedness, and how vulnerable we are at any time to so many things. And I think that we should be grateful to live, to have another day, and begin to look at the similarities in us that are so challenged during such times. So I want to thank Robert for pointing out and showing me not just how other people are dealing with this, but revealing something in myself that I wouldn't have recognized without his help. So thank you all for allowing me to participate. And Robert, keep on going. We need you. We need your eyes, and we need your heart, and we need your vision. So keep at it, and thank you very much, my dear friend. I'm sorry to say, in you, the world has gained an extraordinary photographer and a person who chronicles the world, and has missed out on probably a third-rate Borscht Belt comedian. But but thank you so much for everything, and please keep on going, my friend. Thank you again.
Thank you, Adrian. That was so well said. Yes, yes. So we also have your friend and longtime supporter, Mitch Kingsbury here. Raymond, can you cue that image up for us? So this is Mitch Kingsbury in Fort Lauderdale. And Mitch, if you'd like to unmute yourself.
Sure. I think I did. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Hi.
Oh, cool. Hello. Yeah, actually, Cape Cod now, but that was that shot was taken in Florida. Yeah. Robert, my dear friend, I'm just sort of sitting here in the wash of everything that's happening, and I'm thinking how you always sort of present this as from the confines of a hospital bed in a nursing home in Miami Beach, and yet you have figured out how to reach across the world, literally, unite and embrace people, connecting people. And you know, there was this, you probably know this quote from Elie Wiesel, God created humans because God loves stories. And I realized that you're a great photographer, but you're also an incredible storyteller. And, you know, through you capturing an image, you tell 1,000 stories, you know, 1,000 stories, and every photograph invokes the curiosity of wanting more, to know more. So you create this human connection. And, you know, while I was working with you, and it was in the middle, it was like the height of the lockdown. And it just happened at the time I was in Las Olas. So I was separated from all my family and nobody was traveling. And it was the first time that I spent like 2 months completely just isolated, except, you know, I had my faithful companion, Asher, my dog, and we really bonded. But, you know, when we had the photo session together, you helped open up my eyes and realize that, look, I mean, you figured out, despite limitations with the physical body, you know, despite a global pandemic, how that you don't say no. Like, there's nothing that stops you. And that was so inspiring to me, because I felt like if I can talk to you, and we did a lot of FaceTimes and phone calls together, and every time I talked to you, you had a joke, you know, you would crack a joke, you would, you know, your energy was always up, man. It was always so high. And I thought to myself, man, I have no excuse. I cannot have any excuse to say, oh, I'm afraid, or I can't do this, or, you know, or I can't find something to be grateful for. I mean, you have to know that as an inspiration, you really walk the talk, and you set the example of what it is to not believe in limitations, and to allow yourself to say, look, you know, when I set my mind to do something, nothing will stop me. Nothing stopped you, man. Look at what you've manifested right now in this moment. All these people, everybody, you know, celebrating you and honoring you, and how we all know you and how we all see you. And I am so grateful, because you helped me get through a difficult time simply by me saying, look, if Robert can do what he does, then I don't have an excuse, to have any type of a victim story or feel sorry. And beyond that, you've touched some of the most important people in my life. My friend Barry, my friend Dewa, who's in Bali, my godson in Canada. I mean, you've reached the cross, only as you can do it. Is that with a smile and a crack of a great Jewish joke. And I got to thank you, man. I mean, for, to whom much is given, much is expected, right? To whom much is given and much is expected. And you've been given a lot. You've been given a great gift, and you haven't wasted it, bro. You haven't wasted it for a moment. And in every story that you've invoked in everyone, you continue. Your work continues, and you're in every heartbeat. So thank you, man. Thank you for this friendship and for inspiring me and for all the love.
Wow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was wonderful.
Yeah, I'm not going to hire all you guys to my publicist.
You can pay us
Unbelievable.
later. You can pay us. So we also have Barry Kibrick here.
Yes, you do. Hi there.
Hi.
You okay?
Yeah, and this is the image that that Robert took when you were in Los Angeles, and you're still in Los Angeles, aren't you?
Yes, in fact, that image is still there, and my son and my wife are with me, and that's our little bubble. We all had the privilege of meeting Robert when he was on my PBS series, Between the Lines, with his book, Hindsight. And, it's kind of neat when you meet an artist like Robert, because you realize how humble he really is. And so far, we've all been talking about his most phenomenal pictures. And there's no doubt that his true talent lies in the vision he has for all of humanity and portrays it with his photos. But when you read Hindsight, we forget that he is also a phenomenal writer. He would never even call himself that. But when you read Hindsight and the way he uses words, it is as wonderful as he uses his lens. And it's also as wonderful as he uses his heart and his soul. And it's funny, I also know Robert well enough, and I also get a chance to speak to him almost at least once a week with a joke that he has for me. And I think he would be the first to tell you that as inspiring as he is to us, we inspire him. And I mean that in the sense that I never see Robert as the guy sitting in a bed who cannot move, who needs help, because he is transcendent of that. So I want to say, I wish I could feel sorry for Robert, but I can't, because he is so filled with life and so together mentally and emotionally and physically as well, that it never enters my mind that he is lying in a bed somewhere. And I think that is something that allows Robert to transcend his own, I don't even want to call them limitations. There's just no limitations to the man. And as I said, his spirit is so wonderful. And I want to just give one little anecdotal story. And that is simply during this time, we were all glued for weeks on end watching the elections and watching all the people talk. But they finally had an opportunity to speak with Bill Clinton. And while Bill Clinton was sitting at his desk, the image behind Bill Clinton is Robert's book, Hindsight. And I think that says a lot when the highest ranking person in this nation, one of the most powerful people, as one of the 4 books behind his desk is Hindsight. It tells you the effect that a single man or woman could have on the universe. And I just know that I, myself, my family, my son Eli, my wife Betty Lou, my other son Keenan, who's not in that picture, we just are blessed that we know Robert and that we feel his strength transcends anything that may be keeping him in a hospital bed. So thank you, Robert, for all the love you give me. And I don't think you're a third-rate comedian. I think you're a first-rate jokester. And I love when you call me and you share them with me. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Barry. That was wonderful. And I do remember seeing the Hindsight book behind Bill Clinton as well. I do remember seeing that when he speaks. So that is certainly a tribute to Robert, of course. So we also have one more of Robert's supporters here, and a very important supporter. Dr. Eva Ritvo is here, and I think that Raymond, if you'll share that image for us, so this is Dr. Ritvo, and as you can see, if you're able to unmute yourself.
I think you can hear me, right?
Yes, hi, there you are. We would not have recognized you with your mask and shield on, and thank you for joining us. So please share your time with Robert about this exhibition.
Absolutely. But first, I do want to say thank you to everybody, and I saw a lot of familiar faces around the country on here tonight, and it's wonderful to see everybody is in this format. And so thank you for everybody from joining as far away as Germany, Bahamas, etc. So Robert has been the biggest supporter of myself and my family. In fact, so much that in my book, I wrote my personal chapter about him, because Robert has done more than anybody I know on this planet to help my daughter overcome some of her differences. And her soaring is really a direct tribute to Robert. And I think you have that picture too, that was created by Robert so many years ago as part of our Bold Beauty project that Adrian mentioned. And that's actually how I knew Robert. We were looking for a location for the Bold Beauty project, and we were referred to FIU. And somebody said, well, you should probably meet Robert Zuckerman. He's a great guy. So we met over lunch, and as I say, the rest is history. He decided to come on board our project where we take women with varying disabilities, pair them with photographers, and create art shows. That as a mother of somebody differently abled, of course, I wanted Robert to photograph my daughter, and he said yes. So that was very exciting, and that was the image you saw, which we think now has been seen by at least about 50,000 people at various art shows as well as on the internet. So that was a happy time. The photograph he took for me of Planet Project was a less happy moment. It was July 7th. I had lost a half-sister, a first cousin, and my father in the pandemic, none to COVID. And I got a phone call that COVID had entered the facility where my mother was living. So I said, well, I'm going. I really don't care about, risking my health. I'm not going to lose another family member without seeing them. So I got on an airplane, and Sandra Farber, who might be on our call, was sort of talking me through the anxiety of it. And then I sat down in my seat and I said, okay, Robert, this is your moment. Document this moment, because it was terrifying. So not only do I have the face shield, but you can see I have the goggles on, and I had that little suit that I ordered on Amazon. One of my friends who saw me said, admittedly, not my best look, which made me laugh, but I actually thought it was a really good look for flying. And I was COVID negative 5 days later and got to see my mom. So I think that's one of my best outfits I've ever donned. And I'm very grateful to Robert, because Robert is always with me at every moment. And I think it's incredible that he documented particular moment that I'll never forget. And I wanted to just echo what our other speakers have said, that Robert is probably the most larger than life person that I know. The way he impacts people is like nobody else. And I remember very clearly at the beginning of this pandemic when I was trying to figure out, how to feed myself, how to, be a doctor over Zoom. I just didn't know which way was up or which way was down. And Robert comes with this absolutely brilliant idea of planet portraits. And I'm so proud of him, and I'm so proud to be part of this. My daughter Joy, who you saw in here, was also in the project, and many of our Bold Beauty models are in there. So I'm thrilled, Robert, that you're going on and you're getting more images, and I hope more of our Bold Beauty models will be part of your project. And I think FIU has done a great thing to create this beautiful video, and we have to continue to share this meaningful work. And I just can't wait until we look back at this and say, oh, remember when? Because Robert's going to help us remember a time that none of us are going to want to remember. So thank you, everybody. And Robert, keep up the good work, and please keep photographing as many people as you can, because history needs you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Rico. And I do remember you here at MBUS, and I do remember Robert doing some photography here with you. And also, I remember the exhibition at the Bakehouse Art Congress.
Yeah, we've been all over. We've been at the Bakehouse. We've been at Art Concept during Art Basel. We've been at Art Palm Beach, Art Boca. We've now been in Panama. We've been in Texas. We've been lots of places, and we're trying to go more, but we've really had a hard time to figure out what to do during the pandemic. But again, that's why I think Robert is just the most extraordinary human, because his genius knows no limitations. So we get in a pandemic, and the next thing you know, he knows what to do with a pandemic.
We need people like Robert.
Yeah, we do.
Get us through this.
FIU, I was with Robert many times for the World Betterment Symposium. And so I hope that's something that FIU might bring back online, because certainly Robert is somebody who knows a lot about bettering the world. He's bettered my world, and I think he's bettered so many people's world. And it's very touching to hear all of you speaking today about how much you love, adore, but mostly I would have to say admire all that he's done through his photography, through his words, but mainly through his genius, his thinking. He just literally does not know limitations.
Yes, it is wonderful. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to open it up for if anyone would like to ask any questions. We would be able to unmute you if you would like to ask a question. I see you have some friends here. I think you can raise your hand in the bottom, or if anyone would like to, or they can put a question in the chat. So Robert, can you tell me what else are you working on now? Is there any other projects? I know you said you have you may be extending this, or is there anything else in the horizon?
Well, Colette and I, this is an ongoing project, and I don't, unfortunately, the pandemic is going on, and I feel that the reason I do this, because for history I want to make a record or somehow memorialize this time that we're going through now together. So that's why I became involved in the Planet Portraits project. Still working on my own other stuff. I have a fairly substantial inventory of famous people that I've photographed through the years. You could say icons or people who are in the Hollywood movie business, but also other cultural icons. And my goal is to try and put together a book of those portraits. And so that's something I'm working on now. And also just try to, on a personal side, make an inventory of my archives, which really go back, 45 years.
That's a big project, yeah. You have a lot of work.
There's all the stuff that was photographed on film, like prior to 2002. And then around 2002, I kind of switched over to digital. So it's those, both of those um, you know, the periods of my work. So trying to that, and then you know, like the same thing that that Mitch pointed out, and you know, Adrian, is that and Barry as well, that my goal and my desire with photography has always been to help people out and to try and make the world a better place. You know, people talk about different aspects of learning the shutter speed and the f-stops and more the technical side of photography, which is important. But for me, photography is about intention. You know, my intention, even when I was in my career in Hollywood, I photographed probably thousands or 1,000 or so people for their headshots. I would always hold in my mind and in my heart good intention, or I want this photograph to help you with your career. And it's like making a meal or anything we do. If we have good intention, that somehow comes through in the results. And so, you know, the same thing with this project, Planet Portraits. I want it to be something that can, you know, add a little drop of goodness into the world. And that's that. So now I'm working on the beginnings of putting together a book of my portraits, and then, you know, continuing with my work with, I have a great, a really great position where I work with Ray
Robert, I
Allen
think
on
you have
his,
your fun.
online magazine and speech.
I'm sorry. I think you have your fun finger on your perfect.
Oh
So-
gosh.
That's okay. Raymond, I have that. Raymond has the other image to show us that Dr. Rivka was showing us. I'm going to show that. This is part of the Bold Beauty project that Robert and Dr. Rivka had worked on, and there was many images that I recall, and they were all, and the exhibition had traveled around.
We also have Shelley Bear, the project founder, is on our call tonight. And we have several of our models. I saw Erin in the Bahamas. I saw Deb Lewin in Texas. And I saw Valeria in Germany. Patrice was photographed in New York. So this is also a global project that really has been so much assisted by all of Robert's efforts. And this is the photo that I talk about in my book that helped my daughter see herself in a new light. And I think Adrian was saying that the point of our project is to help on several levels. One, of course, is to help the woman with a disability see herself in a different light. And my daughter will tell you that this day transformed her whole life because she got to see herself being so beautiful as Robert saw her. And she has gone on to finish college since then, started dating, is now engaged. So we really owe that all to Robert, and that's the story I told in Be Kinder. We also try through this project, through photography, to help break some of the stereotypes for women with disabilities. And so people can see that people have their own unique and different beauty. And that's what Robert has taught me, that, and my daughter has taught me, that these are people that have different abilities. And certainly many of them have super abilities because, like my daughter says, she's had to be creative and learn to get around certain things. And I think, Robert, your work in Hollywood is extraordinary, but I think your later work has been so transformative, and your work with the Bold Beauty Project, Planet Project, is your work, because I think this is going to really help people see how we are all in this together. We are all one. And I hope that you're going to have the sequel to this, which is when we all get this vaccine and we get out of this, and you can show all the merriment that hopefully will be coming in 2021.
We'll all be dancing, and you can take our picture for that. That will be wonderful. That will be wonderful. Well, Robert, I see a common theme in all of your work of healing and transformation. And I think for me, I definitely have the healing aspect of your work. I always have. Whenever I've seen it, I've read about it, I've seen it. It's always made me feel good. And particularly this project, I just find it so, so moving, and your other work as well. So I think this is a good note for us to end on. And I would like to open it up for everyone. I'm going to unmute you.
Before you do that, can I just say something?
Oh, sure, John, of course.
No, I just didn't want this to this opportunity to go by. You've done a great job, Colette, and you know, Robert. Every day we see your work. We go down the hallway. We've been creating PPE since March 23rd here. We transformed the 3D printers into face shield makers, and your work has always been inspiring us. And I love when, you know, we've always had the byline that what we do at MBUS, where you are a distinguished colleague, is to search for what it means to be human. And I think of all of our fellows and of all the faculty who are here and the staff, you've helped us go the furthest along that road. And I love that comment about how you're such a great writer. And I know I've tried to pin you down on when you discovered that you had that skill of writing. And I know you've always slithered out of that one. And I don't know why, but you are a brilliant writer and inspired writer. And your photographs and your writings really help us understand what it means to be human here in Miami Beach every day. So I just want to, you know, very, very sincerely thank you for that. You're right outside my door, so as well as on my screen where I've spent the last 12 hours. But it's really great. We're so thankful for everything that you contribute, continue to contribute, and that you will contribute.
Thank you so much, John. I appreciate it. And yeah, I guess the Kindsight series was what really helped me hone my writing, because you know how it is when you're on your email and you get one of these inspirational messages, and you scroll down and you scroll down and you scroll down. It never seems to end. And you know, they taught us in film school, when you're writing a screenplay, you know, if you don't have them on the first page, you're not going to get them. So that's how with the Kindsight project, I was able to write a beginning, a middle, and an end, and get in there and out of there in a short amount of time, and not demand too much of the viewer. And so, you know, I think you have to be conscious of, you know, who is going to be beholding your work. So that was a good one. And I also discovered I would write in the present tense, because so much of writing is about he did or in the past, and I would kind of keep it in the present tense. And that was a conscious choice that seemed to work. But anyway, and also, who was it that said, I can't think of it, Bacon or William Blake, I think might have said, the fool who persists in his folly eventually becomes wise. So, you know, I think if you do something long enough in practice, you hopefully will get better at it. But anyway, thank you. And I'll just, I told this to earlier today, but I don't know if you, wait a second, sorry. I gotta, 1 second. Sorry, am I back?
Yes.
You're back.
Okay. Back in 2012, I was introduced to Phil Stern, who was a legendary photographer, you know, from the mid 20th century. And at that time, Phil was in his 90s, probably 93 or 94. And he had a gallery in downtown Los Angeles, and his son, Peter, and his granddaughter, Ashley, ran the gallery. But they had decided they were going to do an exhibit pairing Phil and me together. It was going to be a two-person exhibit. It was going to be one of his photos, say, of James Dean back in the 50s, and one of my photos of George Clooney that were somehow similar in composition, whatever. And there were these pairings of his work and my work next to each other, and the show was called Counterparts. Anyway, there was a day when it was arranged that we were all going to have lunch together, and I went downtown to downtown LA, and I was still walking then in 2012. I walked into the gallery, and there was Phil sitting in a chair with his hat on and his glasses, and he had these, you know, an oxygen tank in his nose. And I went up to him and I just greeted him, and I said, Phil, you know, you have paved the way for so many of us, and you shine a light on our road. And he just looked up at me, he goes, what a load of bullshit. And I thought that was like, that kind of broke the ice. But, you know, it's important to learn how, I don't know where I'm just kind of rambling here, but I'll wrap it up by saying, you know, how a lot of times when people give us praise, we kind of slough it off and say, you know, don't, you know, I didn't do that. We kind of slough off the praise. I remember once seeing on TV Luciano Pavarotti giving a concert, and he sang this beautiful area, an outdoor concert, and in the end, people just stood up and were clapping for him, and he just spread out his arms and soaked it in. And I think it's really important that when someone gives you praise, you honor that somehow. So that being said, I just want to really thank all my colleagues and friends who've spoken tonight, and you, John, you're amazing. And don't say what a load of bullshit. You're an amazing guy, and what you've done with MBUS is really something else. And I look forward every Monday to getting the updates that you put out. And so, anyway, thank you.
All right,
And,
consider this a big hug.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm
Yeah,
not soaking it up. I'm hugging you for that.
the air hug. Yeah, that brings. I don't want to. Oh, look who's there. My man, Ray Elman.
Been here the whole time, Robert.
Oh, good. Anyway.
So I just invited everyone to mute themselves. If you'd like to give Robert applause. Thank you for
Hey,
wonderful film.
great
Thank you
job.
everyone for joining us this evening. Thank you all our guests, Dean Schreiner, John, Dr. Ritko, Mitch, everyone. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
we
Thank you,
look forward to
Colette.
seeing you at another, Adrian, we look forward to seeing you all at another one of our events soon.
Great job, Colette. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Yes, thank you, Colette.
Great job.
Stay well, stay healthy.
Stay
Yes.
healthy. Stay safe.
Yeah.
You as well. Yes.
Good to see you, Robert.
Right to
Yes,
Robert.
Bye, Robert.
Bye,
Robert.
Good,
Good,
Robert.
Robert.
Oh, Aaron.
Hi, Robert.
So good to see you.
Damn.
Wow.
You got quite a crowd, Robert.
What's that?
I said you got quite a crowd. An
Oh.
international crowd tonight for your project.
Well, with you in there, and I mean, I'm a happy man.
That-
What can I say?
And everybody who hasn't been photographed, make sure that you reach out to Robert and become part of the project. It's so important.
Yeah.
Yes.
And spread the
Definitely.
word.
Thank you, Robert.
We want
Night.
people all around. Aaron, get some of your friends in the Bahamas to participate.
Oh, listen, can I be absolutely honest? I just had a conversation with maybe 4 other persons, and we're not only excited about the bold, beautiful project, but when they heard and saw about the planet portraits, and us here in the Bahamas and in the Caribbean in general, we're just so used to feeling like we're so just squeezed in or blocked in, and it's only us. And then when you be a part of something like this, you understand and you feel the love and the family, and it's like you can't get rid of us now. You're stuck with us.
Family, like you said, family.
Yeah, go on our website and see Erin's beautiful photo. She had one of the most extraordinarily beautiful pictures at our last show at Art Palm Beach. It was incredible. Well, I think we have 125, so to be in that top is pretty impressive. Great,
Yeah.
beautiful.
And I just got some exciting news, Eva and Robert and everyone. December 3rd is the International Day for Persons with Disabilities, and Pan American Health Organization will be featuring me this year. And they've used our picture. They've used our bold and beautiful one of the pictures as the headliner. So we're going to be worldwide again.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow.
That's lovely.
And that's Deb Lewin in Texas. How are you, Deb?
Doing great. Doing great. What a wonderful, wonderful event. Thank you for including me. It really was.
Thank you for coming,
special.
yes.
I've always admired that picture that Robert took of your daughter, Eva Joy. I mean, it was just absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. And just the love that comes through with that is very heartfelt. So thank you.
Thank you, Deb.
Oh,
and
good.
thank you for
Thank
everything
you.
you've done to help Joy as well. This is a project where we've had the opportunity to meet such incredible people. And Deb has been so pivotal also getting me through this pandemic and trying to keep the spirits up and the mental health. So thank you for that, Deb. And Deb also, like Erin, has some very good news, some personal news if you want to share, some very happy news.
Yes. Well, I was supposed to be getting married on Saturday. And, unfortunately, in our city, they reduced the number of people to 10 that you could have. So my future wife, Tammy, and I have postponed it. And we'll have the chuppah next year, please God, when we can have our family. Our immediate family is 35 people.
But it's exciting.
Most of us come from Africa. We're from Zimbabwe. And we have to postpone it, but by then, Eva, you can get on a plane without that mask, honey, and and anybody else.
I know. Woo!
Well, that's good.
Congratulations.
I'm sorry you have to postpone, but congratulations. So that's wonderful.
Yes.
news.
Yeah, we've been together 20 years, so we didn't want to rush into it,
I like the way you think. Don't rush into these things.
That's right.
I
That's
agree
right.
with you on that. So, well, again, thank you all for joining us. I have to go. I have to jump on another event, but it was such a pleasure, and I love working with you, Robert, as you know that. Hopefully we have another project ahead of us, and it was a joy to meet all of you, and thank you so much for being part of this.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
you.
Bye.
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 Bill.
Bye, Robert.
You all.
Don't want to hang up.